Welcome. We are super excited to talk on high end luxury. It's more going to be Laura's field here today, and I'll come back near the end. So, Laura, I'm going to kind of let you take over, and I'll be back at the end.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Sorry about my display. They say that I look like I'm in a jail cell, but I've been relocating actually. I just moved last week. And what we're going to talk today is about high end properties. And one of the things that is, I know there is a lot of training and education out there about being an agent for high end, but not as much as an investor. And I personally started in real estate when I was in Hawaii back in the 80s. And so I was exposed to high end property as a new investor. And then now, right now, I moved into an high-end area, and I told the agent where I bought my condo from to let me know into any properties. Now, I don't buy condos for investments. I bought one to live in it myself, but I'm looking for houses. And just alone today, she sent me actually two high-end homes. And there is a market for high-end homes in certain areas. Okay. So, for example, if you live in a city like we do a lot of investment in St. Louis, I wouldn't go invest in high end in St. Louis just because there are not enough buyers buying those type of properties. Okay. So, but in areas like where I am right now, which is Boca Raton, Florida, or Miami, Fort Lauderdale, there are people that buy high end homes all the time. I just looking at the boats that go outside. I live on the intercoastal and look at the boats going by every day. Gosh, these boats are more expensive than most homes. They're 30, $50 million boats. So with that said, there is a market for high-end properties in certain areas. Now, one of the things I realized when I was working with high-end homes, even in Hawaii, is that people are not property owners of high-end. You cannot approach them the same way that you would approach, regular type owners. They're much more private. They don't let anybody know there is some distress going on in their life, either financial or personal. And their homes actually are kept up on the outside. Okay, on the outside, I remember going into a high-end home once that the outside was great, very nice landscape and everything. The inside was in shambles. It looked like literally, I think I had dogs that went rampage there. There was feces everywhere, scratches on the wall, uh, unknown substances. It was a mess. And but the outside looked great, right? So you have to see that high-end properties are a little different. You can, but you're not going to find as many with driving for dollars, for example. You really have to get to know these people more on a personal level. Also, when you deal with high-end property, when you deal with regular owners, they're more about you know. They don't want to deal with people that show up in flashy car and flashy clothes because they feel that you're going to take advantage of them, right? If you show up in a high-end Mercedes and have all designer clothes on and you're trying to save their home for foreclosure or bankruptcy, they're going to say, okay, well, they have the money, I don't. So there's a different where the high-end property owners, they want to deal with people with money. They want to deal with people on their level. Okay. So if you make the decision that you want to deal with high-end properties specifically and high-end owners, there is a little bit of a shift you have to do as an investor. So you have to be honest with yourself. What type of investor are you? Now you can do both. It's kind of funny, but true. When I was dealing with private lenders a lot, and now I have my own private lenders on board. But when I was out there trying to get new private lenders years and years ago, and I was dealing with high-end properties at the same time, I had a Porsche. But then when I was dealing with people that were in distress and losing their home to foreclosures, I drove up there with a Toyota Camry, which they're both very nice cars. But you see where is a different type of mindset that you're working with. So you have to make a decision if you are the type of woman who likes to be a certain person, dress a certain way, drive a certain car to attract these type of sellers, or are you more, humble? And I can be both. So that's me. But yeah, it's a really a personal choice. Okay. Now, high-end property owners go through some of the same things. They go through divorce, they go through deaths in the family, they go relocations, illnesses, those type of things like everybody else. There is another area with high-end owners that is more, they have more to do with business losses or bankruptcies or reorganization, something happening in their finances. I don't know if you ever watched the show where they repossessed nice boats and cars, right? There was a show on TV a few years ago, and they were repossessed with high ticket items. And you got to learn a little bit of the story behind it, that is, that brought people to that type of, losing that type of stuff. So it's interesting to see, but it's a little different situation than when you're dealing with, regular owners. Now, the other thing is, what do you do with these properties? You can do a lot of the same thing as a regular property, but the most popular thing to do with high-end property, honestly, is a fix and flip. Okay, you buy this property, you fix them up and sell them. There is actually somebody here, and his name is Frank McGinnis or something like that. He wrote, he lives here in Fort Lauderdale, and he wrote a lot of books about high-end properties. He came here, his story is that he came here in the 80s with like literally $40 in his pocket. He was 18 years old, got off the bus here in Fort Lauderdale, and he sat on a pier and decided that he wanted to get into high-end real estate. And and he started flipping, and he got, by the time he was in his early 20s, he already has $7 million. That's all he does to this day. He does flip of high-end homes. So with that said, is you can do fix and flips. You can also wholesale. Okay. So, I have people right now that bring me these deals. I had two yesterday that actually was an agent. She says, hey, these properties are going to go on the market. Are you interested in these properties before they get listed? And they're for flips. And so that's the most common way to do with this. Either wholesale it to somebody else who's doing the flip or doing a fix and flip. I had a student, Ralph, who was doing fix and flips in Miami, and the profit for each fix and flip he was doing was anywhere from $200,000 to $400,000 because it's a higher end. So that's the type of market. But when you do the fix and flip, also, it takes a different type of finishes. You have to go very high end on everything you do. But the private lenders will loan on high-end property as much as they loan on regular property. We have actually private lenders here in Boca, and they like to loan on high-end real estate. Okay, so that private lender doesn't make a difference to them. They will loan on $5 million property as much as they loan on a $500,000. Now, as far as rental income from properties like that, there is also a market. Up to not a high end, I would say high end to a certain point. People will pay $10,000, $20,000 rent a month, $30,000. I've seen $50,000 to $100,000 a month, but I would say up to $25,000 a month. That's acceptable. Like in the place where I live, that is $25,000 a month for rent. So it is acceptable up to in the same area is acceptable up to a certain amount. Once you start going over 25,000, it's going to be a little harder to do. So personally, as an investor, you might not want to do that, and risk to be months and months without a tenant. But between Airbnb and rentals in certain areas, like here in South Florida, $20,000 to $25,000 a month is pretty standard on high-end real estate. Um, Now, the thing is like I said, you have to make really a mindset shift if you want to do this property. Then how do you find these owners? The main thing is to network in a certain circuits, right? You have to go around the people where the people are that have this type of money, meaning like country clubs or private associations and things like that, where people own these type of properties, where people are in these type of circles. Talk with the agents that deal with high-end properties like I am here in Boca. I deal with an agent that she deals with these type of properties, and she brings me these deals before they hit the market if I want them. So you have to connect with the people that deal with certain things and yourself. Like when I was in Hawaii, I was there, I was in a country club there in Honolulu, and all these people that were there obviously were a certain level. And I wasn't personally doing high end a lot at that point. High end meaning I went up to $1 million, but in Hawaii, $1 million back in the 80s wasn't high end even then. But the agents in my office, they were doing multi-million-dollar properties. That's why we belong to this country club in Honolulu. That's why we had the events there, so that we could connect with people certain circuit. Also, we used to go to polo games on the beach, where they play golf on a horse, basically. But you want to be around those type of circles. So like I said, that's not for everybody. You have to be honest with yourself if that's the type of person you are and you want to hang out with. We shared with you some PDF here at the beginning of the week. So make sure you download that. The other thing is I do have a luxury real estate training. If you are a student, it's available to you. However, before you get access to that, I really want to talk to you because I don't want you to, chase different things at the same time. I have to see if you're ready for something like that. But I do have training on how to wholesale flip high-end properties. And this comes from my own experience. I've trained several people like Ralph in the Miami market, and I had a lady out in Denver, Colorado, dealing with high-end luxury properties. So I've definitely done training on that as well. Besides, this is where my attention is presently. So that's all I have to share with Liz for today. So hopefully that gave you a little bit of a insight on to deal with high-end properties.
Definitely. So we had a question that came through while you were talking. If you do a fix and flip on high end, how do you handle the capital gain taxes?
It's like everything else. It's like even with regular real estate. It depends. If you are a business, okay, if you are in the business of doing real estate fix and flips, then again, I'm not a tax accountant. Big disclaimer here, I cannot give tax advice. I just tell you from educational purposes or from my own experience, because I am in the business of real estate. I have an entity, LLC, S corp. I'm sorry, I have an S corp as far as real estate investing. Then I get taxed as ordinary income. Okay, and if you do a deal here, a deal there, and you're on your own, yes, then you'll get capital gains. But if you are a business doing business in real estate and for development, then your CPA will set it up in a way. Like, for example, I have a salary and I have distributions, so I don't pay capital gains.
Awesome. That was the only question that came in.